Reddit is the website to go to if you're wanting to find like-minded people that engage with your hobbies or interests. If you're at all familiar with it, you know that there is essentially a subreddit for anything. While that statement could be seen as hyperbole, there is actually some dark truth that lies within. It's not always obvious how dark and vile Reddit can get, but once you take a look, it's hard to view that website the same. So, today, we're going to look into the most controversial subreddits to ever exist. If you're interested in interacting with members of the community, I highly encourage you to check out our Discord server that's linked below. Additionally, I hope you're doing well. I hope you're taking care of yourself and taking care of the people that are around you. But let's hop in today's video. Find Boston Bombers. This subreddit is probably the quickest way to establish that online vigilantism isn't exactly the best thing, and especially when there's not really good evidence that's put out there, it can lead to some bad outcomes. In 2013, the Boston Marathon was bombed by two brothers, utilizing two homemade pressure cooker bombs that would explode near the finish line of the marathon, roughly 14 seconds apart from each other. This would take the lives of 3 people and injuring hundreds of others. In pursuit of trying to identify who would do such a horrific thing, many websites were actively going to jump onto the scene and try to take matters into their own hands. This led to the creation of r/findbostonbombers. Now, after hundreds upon hundreds of Reddit posts, eventually they were able to track down someone. Unfortunately, though, they got the wrong people. And yes, people, plural. They got multiple people wrong. The thing that's even more sad is that they didn't realize they initially misidentified the wrong people on who did this attack. So they're all in the threads like high-fiving each other like, yeah, we got him. We did it, Reddit. If you didn't realize, that's where that comes from. We did it, Reddit. Like that's what that means. It's basically making fun of the fact that they misidentified the Boston Bombers. Once Reddit began to realize that they got the wrong people, it all just started going downhill from there. One group of people that was misidentified was a 17-year-old boy and his track coach, the other being a Brown University student named Sunil Tripathi, who had gone missing a few months prior. Sunil would actually be found a few months after the attack had taken place. Tragically, though, he wouldn't be found alive, as it was made very clear the student had taken their own life. I do hope that Sunil rests in peace and that his family has some sort of closure from all of this, because I couldn't imagine having your son, who's already been missing for a while, get thrown into the light, and then just suddenly, like, now everyone wants to know everything about you and your family and your close relatives, all for it to eventually be figured out that your son wasn't even alive. That sounds awful, and I really do feel for the family in that situation. All these vigilante groups that were going out trying to find information about the Boston Bombers and who they might be eventually led to the FBI coming out saying, hey, y'all are like spreading so much misinformation right now that it's actually really hard for us to do like detective work. So you should maybe cite your sources or make sure it's gone through like official channels. Like here's the quote. Contrary to widespread reporting, no arrest has been made in connection with the Boston Marathon attack. Over the past day and a half, there has been a number of press reports based on information from unofficial sources that has been inaccurate. Since these stories often have an unintended consequence, we ask the media, particularly at this early stage of the investigation, to exercise caution and attempt to verify information through appropriate official channels before reporting. I find it sad but hilarious that the FBI has to come out and basically say like, hey, yo, guys, like, you are spreading so much information right now that it's literally fucking up our investigation. Can you stop? Can you please stop? I also do find it really odd that the FBI is basically saying like, hey, make sure you get your information through appropriate channels, but the FBI is also more than willing to ruin the credibility and established reputation of the Associated Press. This is basically a side tangent. You can do some heavy research into this if you'd like, but basically in 2007, the FBI posed as an AMP journalist and infected some 15-year-old suspects' computers with like surveillance software. The FBI director at the time even said like, yeah, this was fine. Granted, it was a little weird. or like something to that effect. But basically he approved of it. But luckily a judge like ruled in favor of the Associated Press, and that like that was not within the right of the FBI to do, and that was really uncool. Anyway, though, that's like hardcore side tangent stuff, so I'll just leave it at that. Cringe Anarchy. This subreddit suffered the same fate that a lot of subreddits do, which is starting off with not too bad of intentions and then it taking some sort of major shift that then gets it shut down. Cringe Anarchy was created in 2014 and was regarded as the uncensored and free speech version of r/cringe. This is assumed to be due to the heavy moderation that happened over at Cringe. So this alternative would basically allow for an anything goes mindset. As I mentioned, basically just can't have nice things. It's just the internet. You can't have nice things on the internet at all. Around 2016 to 2018, you would see a major shift in what was being posted in Cringe Anarchy. A lot of it was anti-SJW and anti-trans humor. Now, I definitely would like to say that you can engage with dark, anti-PC, controversial humor in a healthy manner. But it's once you start injecting your genuine, like, really messed up views into the jokes and passing them off as jokes, that's when I feel like your healthy engagement with the topic becomes flawed and soured, if you will. Okay, I've talked enough about the humor. I'm taking off my joke police hat. I've resigned. I've officially retired. Don't worry, we're moving on. Eventually, the subreddit had to be quarantined in September of 2018. The 400,000 subscriber subreddit basically only grew more insulated and echo chambery. A lot of memes specifically pertaining to anti-Semitism and Nazi ideology and, more transphobia, anti-SJW stuff started to appear a lot more, especially after it got quarantined. The final straw for this subreddit was basically the response that happened after the 2019 Christchurch mosque shooting. I'd like all of you to take a guess on how that subreddit behaved when 51 Muslims lost their life that day. Yeah, you already know. I know you know. After a massive influx of anti-Muslim memes, the subreddit was eventually taken down on April 25th of 2019. Once the subreddit was eventually deleted, there were many people trying to figure out what was the next subreddit that we could go to, post the same memes, blah, blah, blah. A lot of people would begin moving over to Cringetopia, but that subreddit and many others would basically go on some type of lockdown and start banning users that were engaged with Cringe Anarchy. So that way they couldn't go over and post their memes in that subreddit. Basically, they were just like, you know what? You are not allowed here. You were absolutely unhinged over there. You are not allowed in our subreddit at all. Jailbait. This subreddit is often regarded as the most controversial subreddit to ever exist on the website. To put in perspective how controversial this one is, as I was doing research to figure out all right, what are some of the subreddits that I could toss in this video? This one came up every single time. In every thread by multiple different people within the same thread, this one is extremely controversial, and as I begin to explain it, you'll figure out why. If you're unfamiliar with the term jailbait, I would like to open this up with a definition. So that way we're all on the same page and we understand what jailbait means. I'm going to be using the Merriam-Webster definition, but basically any other definition you find is going to be very close to this one. Jailbait is defined as a girl under the age of consent with whom sexual intercourse is unlawful and constitutes statutory rape. Now, you can probably put two and two together after that definition. Jailbait, a subreddit. Yeah, let's get into it. The subreddit, as suggested by the name, houses hundreds of suggestive and revealing photos of underage girls. The subreddit was extremely popular on the website, so popular that it even won Subreddit of the Year in 2008 via user poll. People voted on this. While I imagine there were people condemning the subreddit's existence on the website, Reddit's general manager at the time, Eric Martin, said that while he was disturbed by this group, it's not the place of Reddit to censor the users. About a month ago, Reddit general manager Eric Martin addressed the freedom of speech issue in a post about two other controversial subreddits, r/jailbait and r/pics of dead kids. Even though he was personally disturbed by these groups, Martin said he recognized that it was not Reddit's place to censor its users. We're a free speech site with very few exceptions, mostly personal info, and having to stomach occasional troll Reddit like r/pics of dead kids, or morally questionable Reddits like r/jailbait are part of the price of free speech on a site like this, he wrote. The controversy of this subreddit would only increase after CNN news anchor Anderson Cooper ran a segment on it. Interestingly enough, this segment would actually receive a bit of backlash. An article was posted saying that Anderson boosted the visibility of this subreddit. This was actually due to the fact that over the weekend, after the segment was ran on Friday, it amassed over 4 million clicks and views. The Reddit co-founder Alexis Ohanian would have a few things to say about the segment being run, one of them being that it was a smear piece. Have a look.
But there was recently this really frustrating smear piece on CNN about Reddit, and Anderson Cooper and his guests, none of whom had actually been to the site before, which was a little disheartening because it was clear that none of them actually knew how it worked. And it was a little frustrating because you hear three pundits on a fairly influential cable news network talking about something they don't at all understand and lambasting it basically for being a platform for free speech.
Well, I mean, specifically, Anderson Cooper basically accused you guys of peddling child pornography. Because if there's a stream for jailbait or whatever, which was young girls, not naked, but whatever, it's supposedly underage. I mean, what do you have to say to people, to Anderson Cooper?
So here's the thing. Reddit does not actually host any of this content. All Reddit is a repository of links submitted by users that go to other sites on the internet. Now, I could make the exact same indictment of Twitter. There are Twitter accounts right now that are just links to the same garbage and the same nonsense and all kinds of vitriol and all kinds of things on the internet that exist because they are a part of human nature, unfortunately. And what would be a more interesting discussion, what would have been a so much more useful use of that minute and a half or 2 minutes would have been to tell parents, all the mothers and fathers out there, that your kids need to know that anytime they take an image and put it in a digital format, whether it is an email to one person, whether it's in a tweet, whether it's on Facebook, whether it is an MMS, they should assume that it is now public content. They should assume it is everywhere.
This subreddit was gaining a lot of traction with every passing day, with people arguing for it and with people arguing against it. It was only a matter of time until something had to be done. Following the large amount of traffic, a Reddit user would take to the site and post an image. In the comments, they then began to say that they had more photographs of this person, but they were lewd photographs. Many users would begin to reply to the original poster, saying to send those photographs to them in private message, or direct message, DMs, you know what I mean. This then caused the subreddit to be banned on October 11th of 2011. While there definitely are nefarious subreddits out there, I'm not going to immediately say that all of Reddit is awful and that it's all disgusting. I would like to say that most of the users that take to the site follow the things that interest them, engage with communities that interest them, and overall are just around like-minded people. And while finding like-minded people isn't inherently a bad thing, I think it depends on the common interest or the subject matter that makes it a bad thing. If you're interested in further night crime content, I highly encourage you to click somewhere around my face and watch another video of mine. I think you will absolutely enjoy it. Before we hop in the end segment though, I would like to thank my Tormented Knights and my Knighted patrons. For my Tormented Knights, I have Andrea, EB Agent J, Mousky, Nee, Shizen, Willow, Shyla, and for my Knighted patrons, I have Cherisy, Emma, Envy, Jessica, Lucas, Nixie, Raven, Timo, and Will. Thank you guys so much for your very, very generous support. It honestly means so much to me. Thank you all. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed the video, why not like and subscribe? It definitely helps me out. If you didn't though, why not dislike and let me know what I can improve on for next time. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I will see you all in the next one.